Hey, good morning, everybody. So I had a customer send in 4 vintage Timex watches to me last week, and I kind of moved them up a little bit because I just wanted to get into them and see what all I was dealing with. And I'm really glad he sent them in because as years progress and your skills progress, I've seen, and I'm guilty of it myself. You tend to advance and move in a different direction on movements and kind of forget your ground roots, man. And a lot of these pieces get overlooked. They are deemed unvaluable and poor timekeeping pieces, or whatever the case may be, unserviceable movements. And you know I'm just really glad he sent these in to me because these older Timex watches, man, these things are incredible. A lot of these a lot of these watches, when they were made, they were produced to be throwaway watches. You would walk into a hardware store, maybe a Sears, and you could pick one up for $12, and you'd wear it until it broke, and then you'd throw it away. And the reason why they're called non-serviceable is because a lot of these vintage Timex watches and the standard pin lever movements, a lot of them will be riveted together and with the plates and whatnot. But here's a 67 Marlin, but this one here actually has 3 screws that hold it all together. And as you can see, you can actually take this watch apart probably to 80%. But the parts that you can't get off that are machined in and riveted in place, or there's like a double over spring with 2 hooks on it that'll lock certain positions in, like your ratchet wheel, your click right here, which is all tied in with a spring that you can move in or out of place, and you can adjust it. And then on the bottom side of the movement there, that's where your balance wheel is at with your hairspring. But the stems and the crown can be fixed. They can be taken off. Just really cool movements. But the issue with these and why they're non-serviceable is because if you flip this over, if you get all the way down to where your barrel is at, that's what your mainspring sits in, there's no barrel cover. It basically sits flush up against the top side of the plate, and there's no way to access the mainspring or be able to install a new mainspring onto the barrel arbor, because it's all fixed. You basically have a barrel arbor, and then on the other side of this you have a shaft that goes up to the top of this ratchet wheel. So that's the tricky part that I believe is a big issue with these pieces and why you can't service them. However, so what I'm going to start doing is on the ones that are not riveted in place, and you can repair these parts. Like I've got one in here now. I did a video on it. I believe it was this one here that if you wind it up, it just moves really fast. You can see it releases power, which is a telltale sign of most likely the pallet fork is gone altogether. Somebody has harvested the part out of it and reassembled it and left it out, and that's why it's releasing power. So I don't think, me personally, I'm too interested in taking in Timexes that need parts, or we've got to do repairs on. I'm not 100% against it. What I'm leaning more towards is taking something like this here that is actually running and functioning, and regardless if it's riveted or if it's something that can be disassembled, I believe my process is going to be the same. So basically what I think I'm going to roll out is a package deal on Timex Service. And what that's going to include is basically how I feel these should be handled is this. 1, pop the crystal, remove the crown and stem, remove the case back, remove the movement and the dial and hands from the case. At that point, we would run the case back through the ultrasonic cleaner just to remove any soil, dirt, debris from the case. It would clean it up. And then if somebody wants to do a polish on it, you know, that's going to be up to the customer on what they want to do. But the option is there to polish the case if you want to do it that way, or we can just do a simple clean on it. And then what I think should be done is I would remove the seconds hand if there's a second hand in place. Some of these only have 2 hands, but I would remove the second hand and remove the minute hand. The hour hand would stay on the dial. Then on these dials, these are a little tricky because these aren't, you're not, and by the way, let me just talk about these dials for a second. God, these things are beautiful. I absolutely love these watches. So if you run across one like a Marlin and it's like a gold brush finish, or you get something like this that has the gold indexes on it, just so you know, that is not a gold tone. That is gold plate. Same thing for the hands. If your hands are gold tone, it's not a gold tone, that's a gold plate. These are just absolutely gorgeous dials. So I would take Rodico like this right here, and I would just gently clean the indexes. I would clean the hour, minute hand, get those cleaned up for you. Same thing for something like this right here. I mean, just absolutely beautiful brush finish detail on these dials. I absolutely love them. The loom even still works on them. I cannot say enough about these simple, rugged timepieces that, and if you remember the commercials, I think it was takes a licking and keeps on ticking. But not just that, you know, the Marlins got their name because of the actual fish marlin. They were, you know, Marlins are very agile in the water. You know, they go through great depths, and that's kind of how they got dubbed the name Marlins, because these watches actually have a very good water resistance rating. They're not completely waterproof. I wouldn't never state that. But these are watches that, you know, your everyday working man wore. They bought for $12. They would wear them for 10, 15 years every single day of their life, out in the field, doing work, doing whatever it is that they did. They'd get in the pool, they'd get in the water, they'd take showers. I mean, these are just, I can't say enough about these simple yet rugged timepieces that absolutely deserve the proper attention if you can find somebody that's willing to take them in. So, back to the service on these. So what I would do is remove the crystal. I would select you a new crystal and install a new crystal for you. Also on these watches, there's a gasket in here. I would give you a new gasket. So you get a new gasket, new crystal. The second minute hands would get removed. The hour hand would stay on the dial. And then these dials here, they're not fixed in place. They actually have, see those little teeth on the end right there? These actually, you have to take a screwdriver or a set of pliers and wedge those teeth out some to remove them from the dial plate and the outer ring that goes on to the dials themselves. And that's how they're set in place. So there's like 5 of them. You got to loosen those up to get the dial pulled off. So once we've got the movement out, what I'm going to start doing is, if it's a running, functioning movement, then I can take the movement out of the watch, completely assembled, and I will run it through my 3-phase parts cleaning machine. So you would get a clean, 2 rinse, and then I would run it through the heater probably for, you know, X amount of minutes to make sure it was dried properly. And then once that's completed, then I would go through the top and bottom side of the movement, and I would oil all of your pivots. And I don't know if you can see, but right here is a screw that leads to the staff on your balance staff, and that screw you can remove. I'll probably remove that before service, run through the parts cleaning machine, dry it, and then before we're done, after we're oiling everything, we would go ahead and place a small amount of oil inside that reservoir there, and that would basically service the movement. Oiled all points. We'd still go ahead and oil the stem and the winding mechanism, and you're good for another 10 years. I think that by the time it's all said and done, I think the package that I'm going to roll out is new gasket, new crystal, hands removed, reassembled, clean, oil all your pivots, oil the staff, pinion, and clean the case. I think that for $65 is what the price is going to be. We're going to try it out and see how it works. And that should give you a really great Timex. One that'll look really good. It'll run really well for the next 10 years for you. And I feel like that's a good price. I don't know. I might need to tweak it some. I'm not sure. But anyways, I just want to take a minute and just put this video up and let you guys give me some feedback on it. Again, I think for right now, I'm only going to be interested in taking in pieces that are running and functioning correctly, and let me do a rollout price to where we can do a nice service and oil and lubrication on the movement itself, and clean the case up and get you a really nice, affordable wristwatch back on your wrist that you know, can go another 10 years for you. So anyways, let me know what you guys think, and I look forward to hearing some of your comments. Have a good one, guys. Thanks.